Hi there.
Hi, welcome back to Curious Collection. March 2024. Friday, we reviewed our top 10 items, which was amazing. Our top 10 items equated to be 10% of our entire store for the month of February. So we're going to take today, we're going to go over P&L. We try to be as transparent as possible with everyone and show you guys this is what it looks like to be full-time resellers.
Right. I think it's really, really important that as somebody who, is likely a reseller, that's why you're watching our content.
Or aspiring to be a reseller.
Right. So, I think it's important that you can see the actual numbers, the day-to-day things that go into a reselling business. So that's kind of what we're gonna talk about today. Is
one of the things that people ask us a lot is what's your resale what's your percentage of income
margin?
How many items do I need to list in order to be full time? So we're going to give you a lot of our numbers, and then you can maybe use some of that to help you figure out based on what your business looks like. Because again, we're all different. We all sell different items.
Yep.
And we all have different margins depending on where we live in the country, what our business needs are. So we're going to go ahead and start that. So to begin with, we're going to start with that top line.
Right. Our gross sales, right? That's the fun number. That's the one that everybody wants to brag on. Right. So in February of 2024, our gross sales, now this is across the entire business. So that's going to be, just to clarify, that's going to be our main store, our secondary store, which is our ad store, our whatnot sales, going forward, if we get monetized, any YouTube, money. Basically, if our business is making money, it goes into that top number.
Right. Our P&L is 100% our income. This is what we use to file our taxes. So this is what we make. There's no additional income. I'm not working a side gig. I'm not driving Uber. I'm not working at a fast food place. I'm not doing contract labor outside of our work business. So this is 100% our income.
Yep.
So
our total gross sales is $9,114.04 for the month of February 2024.
Right. So I do want to preface these numbers with the fact that February 2024 was a leap year. And if you were keeping your books, you would notice approximately a 3% increase because of that additional day.
Right.
Now, our bookkeeping software didn't know how to handle that, and it took all of our sales on the 29th and put them in March. So we're going to have an extra 3% growth in March, hopefully.
Yeah.
So we had 639 pieces sold between Whatnot and both of our eBay stores.
Right.
That is not a piece count or a lot count from our auction earnings, which you'll see on one of these lines as well. So our main store did $8,242. So that carried the bulk of the weight of our business.
Yeah, no, and it does. I mean, that's just the way it is. It really does. But unfortunately, the main eBay store is just not enough to cut it right now. For whatever reason, it is what it is. So we know that we need a certain amount of dollars to pay the monthly bills in our household account. So this month, we really put a lot of extra into other sources of revenue for the business.
Right. So our main store, because we're talking about that right now, 422 pieces were sold in the main store. So that's amazing. Love to see that kind of volume. Love to see those numbers. That's actually down compared to the previous year.
Yeah. And the previous month.
Right.
So yeah, no, that's real. Our February numbers are down a little bit. And
so we saw a 3% drop from February of last year.
Yeah.
So that is something to be concerned about. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. We have to diversify.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the theme of today's show is we've been diversifying. We've been working on this for a couple of months, actually. It's
so those numbers are going to be reflected in our total monthly sales.
Yeah. So that's our main store. The main store did about 90% of the total of our business. So,
but then the other line there that you see, that's our, what we did for the consignment at the local auction. So we were able to add an additional $134 to our top line there with that. And then our whatnot sales. Now that's going to be the money that hit the bank during the month of February. The whatnot is a little hard.
Again, their accounting system is a little bit different than what eBay is. eBay will show you those transactions instantaneously. On whatnot, your access to your numbers is once the product has cleared postage and has been delivered, and the customer has left like positive feedback or like they've got the item and they're satisfied. So it doesn't actually hit our transactions where we can download those until the product has cleared. Right. So there's definitely a discrepancy there. On our total sales there, you see 404, but the reality is that we had done about $1,500.
1402 was our sales matrix for whatnot in February. So, I mean, insanity.
Right. So talking about the whatnot, we had sold 184 pieces on whatnot, but our average sale was $5.87, I think. So the value on those items, if you're considering selling on whatnot, be aware your income is not going to be anything close to what it was on eBay. We're selling items for anywhere between...
It's a quarter.
I would say between 10 and 25%.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they're lots. But yeah, our average sale price on eBay is $20.62 or 82 cents rather. Whereas on whatnot, like he said, our average sale price is $5 and some odd cents. So that's certainly notable. And then of course on whatnot, those are lots as well. So it's like 20 pieces for that $5 sale price. So that's again, it's notable. It's something to be aware of. And that's really what these numbers are about, is being aware of your sales, being aware of your numbers so that you can act accordingly. So we saw last month and the last couple of months that our numbers were trending down, and that's not good. So what are you going to do if you know your numbers, you're seeing that they're trending down? What do you do to try to make up for that? And we've been talking for months about diversifying, and that's what we're seeing now in February's numbers, is that we are diversifying. We've got the consignment numbers, we've got the whatnot numbers, we've got the secondary store, because otherwise it just wouldn't cut it.
Right. Yeah. So and again, whatnot has added an extra 15% to our business. The items that we consign through the local auction house, that was an additional 1%. Our Curious Collection ad store, that was an additional 4%. So we're down in our main store 3%, but we're building elsewhere to make up for that. And right. I definitely think that if we wanted to talk about eBay and the direction of eBay, they are losing market share. And as sellers, unless we want to lose market share, we need to diversify.
Yeah.
Or we need to do better in some other aspect of our business. So cost of goods sold. This line here includes inventory, listing platform fees, shipping supplies, sourcing mileage, and transaction fees, all of it bundled together, $4,291. That is a lot of money. You can see that is nearly half of everything that we sold goes right back out the door.
Sure.
Just to run the business. So $1,018 in inventory. We had a couple of really good buys So I had picked up about, what do we say, probably close to 1,000 screenshot press kits that, Hollywood major motion picture press kits from the 80s and 90s into the early 2000s. You had picked up a couple of lots of jewelry, kind of smaller lots, but there was some good jewelry there. I had picked up a couple of trays of postcards. So, it doesn't go a long way. When you start thinking about $1,000 in reselling stuff, it really is like, I think we spent all of that in 2 days.
Yeah.
So the next thing is the listing and platform fees being at $452. That's 100% out of your control.
Right. Yeah, no, it is. Like, there's really not anything that you can do about those numbers. So you have to work the numbers that you can. We really reduced our inventory cost this month.
Yes.
So that was a huge part of the reason why our profit margins were still able to stay where we like them to be, because of the fact that we said, like, okay, we got to back off buying more inventory. If it's an exceptional piece, yes, we definitely want that. But we really have to be very cautious about that spending.
Right. Our shipping fees, $1,527. Again, that's 15% of our total business model. We do offer free shipping, so we had no additional income on items sold, but that's not going to be represented in these numbers. When you pull that eBay number into your P&L, that's total sale. That's your total sale transaction. So it really doesn't matter at the end of the day of how you present it to your customer. It's 100%, just how you're presenting it to your customer. The reality is on that P&L sheet, it dissolves away into your sales.
Right.
Shipping supplies was nice. All we had to do, we already had purchased supplies in December, so we were good. We didn't have to buy anything. We bought a single roll, 1,000 count shipping labels that say fragile.
Yeah.
So we put fragile labels on virtually everything that leaves here. It either says fragile
or do not bend. Yeah.
That is, again, not for the postal carrier. That is for our customer.
So that they know, they can see that we put that extra effort. It really is. It's for them more so than anything else.
Right. The postal carriers don't care, but the customer does. So the next thing that we've got there, we've got sourcing mileage, $102. We told you guys that we had driven to local flea market, and it was almost $70 just in mileage to go to the one market, because, again, we're just in the middle of nowhere. So for us, driving to a flea market to buy inventory, it can be quite cost prohibitive. At $100, we made 2 trips.
Yeah.
We went there and we went to the local auction house. I think that was it.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't pay for us.
But even that's down 50%, because in January we spent $150 in mileage.
And because, again, we recognize it doesn't pay.
Back off. Right.
It doesn't pay for us to go driving around. We're better off to buy bulk and then list from our in-house inventory. So we talked about transaction fees. Again, you can't do anything to control this. It is what it is. So gross profit. So after taking out all those fees, we're at $4,822. And then we have other business fees. So we're going to explain those. We have our accounting and bookkeeping software, which you can see a lovely presentation on your screen with, the way that they keep track of all of our numbers for us, $25 a month. You could do without that.
Yeah. And we have in previous years. So this is the first year that we have this accounting software. And right now, we're very much
I'm very pleased with it. It's relatively easy to work with. There was a couple of things that we had to learn, but other than that, it has been very easy to work with.
And it does make you much more aware of your costs, so that you can be more.
If you don't know what your numbers are,
aware.
you can't change anything. So the sooner you know what your numbers are, the better you're going to be able to react.
Right. When we look at our net sales every day, our net profit every day, like when that number's in the red, it's really hard to convince yourself to go shopping in either
It's
the
true.
household or the business,
Right.
So it does help. And when you see it in the black, then you're like, oh, yeah, we're totally doing this. Like,
Right.
that's awesome. Even if we're having a bad day on eBay and you have that like pit in your stomach where you're like, oh, we're not getting the sales. When you're able to look at the numbers and be like, we're good. We're okay.
Mm-hmm. So we have contract work on there. So I operate this business as a self-employed individual, and I have contracted my wife to be an employee
Not employee.
A contractor. Do not hire your wife as an employee. She is better off to have her own business and be a contractor for you.
Right.
So and that's important because she's able to pay her taxes
Right.
and show income for Social Security purposes,
Yes.
Medicare purposes.
Yes.
So it is very important if you are in the type of business we are.
And this is something we talk to an accountant about.
Right. So please talk to your accountant.
Right.
Get advice. We are not offering financial advice.
Nope.
We are telling you what works for us. So we've got the non-sourcing mileage and transportation, which actually ties into the office supply category.
Mm-hmm.
We had to purchase a printer.
Right.
And so we had to drive to the local
Office Max,
supply
yeah.
and buy a printer. So this is something we had not planned for. It was not something we had intended to do. And it really hurt my heart to have to go and drop that kind of money on a new printer.
Right.
And we had to have it that day. So it wasn't
Didn't
even
have an opportunity to shop around and
we were
all
kind
of
of
that.
stuck with what they had in stock. But we are happy with the printer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a laser printer. It's super fast, lots of toner. Love it.
Yeah.
But that is an unanticipated expense for our business. So
Yeah.
You see the next line is estimated income tax. So the software is great because it's going to tell you this is how much money you need to hold off to the side. And it's calculating that out of your profit. So before you actually look at your profit line, so if you're thinking about, well, you are the business, it's a little bit different than when in the past I've had a C Corp or an S Corp where, the business is not your income. Okay. If you own one of those types of business, again, talk to your accountant.
Mm-hmm.
The way that those businesses typically work is you would hire yourself as an employee. You pay yourself an employee wage. And at the end of the year, your profit, the difference in between your pay and the profit would go in your pocket. So it's a little bit different, but anyway, our net profit, my income, $1,961. And people have asked also, how do you pay yourself? We keep a surplus in our checking.
Mm-hmm.
I pay myself
in the business checking.
Right.
Yeah.
I pay myself out of the business checking $2,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
She is paid as a contractor $2,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
That leaves obviously that $653 in the bank. I pay my taxes out of my personal checking account.
Right.
She pays out of her personal checking account.
Mm-hmm.
So again, there's an extra $653 that's basically in the business to be able to use for reinvesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's able to be used for maybe April, May, June.
Right.
When
if
sales are
our
down.
sales are down, then we still, as long as like it works for the business, if our sales are down a little bit like they are this month, then, we're still going to get our paychecks because the business has a little bit of surplus.
Right.
And then in, November, December, when things are good, we still only get our $2,000
Right.
paycheck.
And we have to do it that way. We have to pay ourselves that flat rate every month because we both need to know what our paycheck's going to look like.
Yeah.
We need to know, okay, if I'm paying myself, if I'm paying myself too, she's paying herself too, and we know that 25% goes to Uncle Sam, at the end of the quarter,
It's
we
only
just
$3.
send them $3,000.
Right.
It's that, for us, it's easier that way. We get to the end of the year, we can make up that last payment on our Q4,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll still be in good shape.
Yeah.
So what's our profit margin? Our profit margin on our entirety of our business is 50.6%. So that includes every aspect. And I think we talked about it slightly. YouTube income. We have not been able to get YouTube monetization. We have applied. I know everybody is very curious. We have applied 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. And we're denied.
We are denied.
We don't know why.
They do not tell you. There is no customer service. There's no phone number. There's no email. They tell you that there are specific reasons why you could be denied if you have multiple accounts under your name. If if maybe one of the boxes that you checked is not correct. If your content does not align with their monetization strategy. So I don't know why we are denied. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know that we will ever fix it, but we are trying to fix it.
We are. Because again, I mean, it's all about the bottom numbers, and this is a business, and obviously we love doing this for you guys, and we love doing this for ourselves. But yeah, if we could monetize it, we certainly would. We're still trying. It's just not successful at this moment. But we're trying. So.
Yeah. So the important thing for me this month is that, so you see on our Whatnot numbers, again, it's a bit skewed because we did 1,400 in sales, but only 400 was actually came
realized,
through.
Yeah.
That means we will have an extra $1,000 like next month. But thankfully we did have that. So you've got the $400 in our ad store. You've got the $400 in Whatnot, and you've got the $100 that we got from our local auction house when we had sold inventory.
Right.
So that's an extra $1,000, 50 cents on the dollar coming back to us. That's an extra $500 profit.
Which, is pretty awesome because we gave ourselves a $500 raise this year. So in order to actually realize that $500 raise, then we have to get another $1,000 per month in total sales.
Yeah.
Right. So, that's really important. One of the things because of course, like part of doing the numbers every month is looking at it and trying to find things that are good to recognize. I just want to point out that our number 2 category. So our number 1 category were those watch tips, because you can see in Friday's episode where we were showing our top 10, most of them were watch tips. So that's our number 1 category this in February. But our number 2 category shocked the heck out of me. So I was looking at the number 2 category, and it was vintage and antique necklaces. And I'm like, do they mean the Native American necklaces? Because I had a couple of really good Native American necklaces sell. No, they were just strictly talking about the normal vintage and antique necklaces that I sell. And I was looking at it. We had sold 33 of them, but the average sale price was $22. And that just goes to cement the fact that we can make a business out of selling average priced items.
Right. And I think that, again, the Whatnot is also a great example of that, where the average sale is right around $570, and we just sold 180 of them. So it really is about the multiplier that we keep talking about in our shows, is that, you're talking about in our eBay store last year, we had 5,000 transactions. It's how many transactions are you talking about? And on Whatnot in 1 month, 180 transactions. In our main store, over 400. Or nearly 400 in our, and you start adding the transaction count together. That's where you're going to make money, is through the volume when you're dealing with low value transactions.
Right.
Now, again, we've talked about it. If we could make all of our money selling one great item every month,
absolutely, we would do
that's
that.
what we would do.
But the thing is, our channel, our business is about reality. And that may be their reality, and that's awesome. And I wish wonderful things for them, but this is our reality. Our reality is we live in a rural area. We have limited knowledge of stuff out there. I don't know I don't know everything about everything. I can't IGA certify, gemstones to make them more valuable than they are when I can just look at them. It's just, this is what is available to us. We're doing our very best with the items
Right.
and knowledge that's available.
Right. Yes. I mean, and there's a lot of other things that people have out there. Look, we don't sell reselling programs. That would be a line of revenue if you did. We don't do personal coaching. That would be a line of revenue on our P&L if we did. We don't have a contract with a manufacturer for promoting their business. We don't. We have the Amazon affiliate link.
And it hasn't done anything.
We've never sold anything on an affiliate link, so they're going to take it away from us actually because we have never sold anything on it. They give you. I think they give you 6 months to sell something. We've never sold a thing. So
right, which is fine. but the thing is that these are real numbers.
Right.
And that's what's so important for us to talk to you guys about is that these are real numbers. These are things that, we're hoping
average
that
reseller.
Right. This is just an average. That's, I think, we're the averages, So I think that it's really important to stress that we really can get these numbers with those $20 sales.
Right. Or $5 sales.
Yeah.
So that's our numbers for February 2024. Again, we will keep you updated. We do these every month starting this year. So we'll see you again in April to do our P&L recap.
Yep.
So
thank you so much for joining us.
Let us know how your February was. I'm very interested to see. Are we the only ones that their eBay main store was down 3%? Did other people experience the same thing? Is your store down more than 3%? Again, it's kind of tumultuous. And I also want to know what you guys are doing to diversify your business against this, especially if you're a full-time reseller or you're more dependent on this income. I know there's a lot of people that watch that say, well, it's just a hobby. That's awesome.
I still think you should know your numbers though.
Right.
Because, my previous hobbies only cost me money. When I went and I was bullet journaling or, whatever my hobbies were in the past, it only cost me money. I was never able to make money off of them, which is fine for a hobby. But if you're doing this reselling and you're trying to add to your income, if this is supplemental, then it is important to look at your numbers and to see where you can help yourself.
Yeah.
So
thank you so much for joining us today. Like and subscribe.
All right. Thanks so much. Good luck to you out there.